Australia's Northern Territory is far from crowds and cities, especially Crested National Park. The park's wetlands and forests teem with unusual creatures, including a tiny but mighty rare bird. It takes parenting to the extreme and becomes a ninja to defend its chicks. We'll follow one perilous year in the life of these surprising feathered fighters, the comb-crested jacanas. Crested National Park, at the top of Australia, is a blend of forests, grasslands, and vast wetlands. Australia is known for its unique birds, and 1/3 of the country's species call this home. Kakadu is a magnet for over 60 species. This black-necked stork stands over 3 feet tall. It's one of the largest birds in the park, except when fishing for tiny shrimp. Overhead, a massive white-bellied sea eagle prefers larger prey. Powerful wings lift the raptor to a private treetop table. Australian pelicans wait their turn. Purple swamp hens don't compete for fish. They gobble up waterweed shoots. Nearby, magpie geese get down and dirty, vying with the swamp hens for juicy greens. The Wetlands Buffet in Kakadu offers enough choices for even the large aquatic birds. But size doesn't always matter. Everyone must eat. The comb-crested jacana is just over 6 inches long. A red crest reflects blood flowing through the bird's delicate tissues. Jacanas are tiny compared to other wetland birds, but it works to their advantage. January brings torrential rains to Kakadu. More than 90% of the year's rainfall occurs from December through March. The park becomes one vast flooded landscape. During this time, the wetland spans over 1,200 square miles. This is boat country. And something moves among the partially submerged trees. This estuarine crocodile is just one of the densest population of crocodiles in Australia. These voracious hunters reign supreme in the wetlands. The crocodile is fascinating, but ahead is something more unusual. When the area floods, lotus and water lilies grow quickly towards the surface. This is where the cone-crested jacana is king. Strangely long legs are the key to its survival. The featherweight jacana can walk on top of floating vegetation. Heavier birds would quickly pitch to the dangerous waters below. But it's not just the jacana's lack of weight that enables it to stay afloat. Extra long toes spread to distribute the bird's weight evenly across the water plants. The jacanas operate on top of a platform, which is supported only by the stems of water plants. They're the only birds that can fish from on top of the vegetation, giving them ownership over Kakadoo's winter waterways. Competition. Still, in order to find enough food, jacanas must spend most of their time walking on water. The dense clog of water weeds hides an abundance of insects, including caterpillars. Packed with nutrients, they're Jacanas' favorite meal. The caterpillars munch on waterweed, and the Jacanas have plenty to eat. Searching for bugs on foot takes less energy than trying to catch them in flight. Comb-crested Jacanas don't spend much time in flight during the wet season. When they aren't eating, they're investing in family time. It's the male bird's job to build a nest. He collects pieces of waterweed, yanking them out by the roots. Once a pile is gathered, he begins construction. It's not too long before his efforts are noticed by a female. He advertises that he's ready and willing. But he still has to convince his potential mate. As the courtship continues, the male's comb turns yellow, a sign that less blood is flowing through it. While he's checking her out, she checks out his design. It doesn't pass her inspection, so he's left alone with an empty nest. Sturdy, thick nests impress females, so he modifies accordingly. The female appears again. He might get a second chance. He pulls out the stops again. Whether his charm or his nest does the trick, this time she stays. Soon after, one of the Jacanas settles into their waterweed nest. A brief stretch reveals inch-long camouflaged eggs. The male gets this tough assignment too. He must stoically sit on the egg clutch until the chicks hatch. His comb lies flat to ensure a low profile. The female comb-crested jacana has no interest in the next generation. She doesn't sit on her eggs or raise her chicks. It's all up to Dad. He must constantly reinforce his nest while guarding the eggs. It's a lot of trouble, but floating nests keep predatory snakes and lizards away, and they have to stay strong. There's little Dad can do to prevent assaults from above. Whiskered terns are determined predators. The male's comb turns bright red, a sign of tension. Today, the tern gives up and flies away to search for fish prey. Now Dad can relax. He settles onto his nest, hugging his eggs to keep them dry. The comb-crested jacana's biggest enemy is rain. During a downpour, eggs may get soaked or even washed away. Less than half of jacana eggs actually hatch. Despite these challenges, Dad won't give up. He protects his future offspring as best he can. Kakadu National Park is a soggy place. Geology plays a key role in the formation of these wetlands. These towering 1,000-foot cliffs ring the park. and it sounds like thunder. The rivers carry a wealth of fresh water to fuel Kakadoo's forests. Rare and unusual creatures live here too. The antilopine waterloo is smaller than most kangaroos. They lick their paws in order to cool down. During the day, Kakadu is sweltering. Endangered northern quolls keep to the forest floor. Like the waterloo and kangaroo, the quoll is a marsupial, but it's only 10 inches long. Dead leaves cover a banquet of dead insects. One colorful creature heralds the start of Kakadoo's rainy season. Leichhardt's grasshopper emerges just before the start of what's known as the wet. Australia is known for its arid outback, but Kakadu is a startling green contrast. Out in the wetlands, the male comb-crested jacana is still sitting on his eggs, alone. A month has passed since the female laid their eggs and left. And he's done a great job. 3 golf ball-sized chicks have hatched. Jacana chicks are able to walk hours after hatching, but they're still a bit wobbly. Dad has a solution. He carries the chicks under his wings. Carefully navigating the unstable waterweed, he finds a secure place to deposit them. But in Kakadu, danger is always present. A nearby crocodile means lifting the chicks up again. Whether for transport or safety, the round structure of the Jacana's wings creates a security blanket. The croc seems to know that an adult Jacana is not easy prey. This wing carry strategy is the small bird's best way of keeping these tiny chicks alive. Torrential rains are a Kakadu constant. During these heavy rainstorms, the father Jacana becomes a living raincoat for his babies. The chick's feathers are not yet water repellent. It's hard to imagine a more dedicated parent. The comb-crested male Jacana continues to raise his chicks with patience and determination. Remember that Mom left before her babies were born. Suddenly, she's back and ready to mate with a new male. It may seem outrageous to us, but it's normal for comb-crested Jacanas. Females mate with several males during a single breeding season, a practice called polyandry. It's more proof that the Jacanas are unusual. Most birds are monogamous. In the wetlands, multiple partners and nests improve survival rates for chicks. One week after hatching, our 3 chicks manage very well over the floating weeds. These are critical steps because their father cannot feed them. They must find insects by themselves. Every day, the chicks are steadier on their toothpick legs. Dad finally gets a short break. Short is the operative word, because a female shows up and doesn't seem friendly. He rushes to protect his helpless chicks and is viciously attacked. Then, the unexpected help arrives. Mom comes to the rescue. She may not be very warm and fuzzy, but she's a ninja mom. Thanks to her, the chicks and their father are safe. Dad returns to being Mr. Mom. By 3 months, the chicks are single-minded in their pursuit of food. Dad hovers nearby, watching over them. His reach only extends so far. His babies are now too large to fit under his wings. All he can do is show them the best places to find food. Life is about to change. Eight months later, Kakadu is unrecognizable. It's the dry season. Days have passed without rain, and the wetlands are shrinking. Only 25% of the water's surface remains. Birds start to abandon their former homes, in search of places where water still exists. Things get crowded quickly, and competition for food is brutal. It's every bird for itself. The little comb-crested jacanas are here too. Their lives have drastically changed. The wet season allowed them to be fiercely territorial, but now they need to coexist and share. Finding a float becomes challenging. Half of the support vegetation has died, and the remaining stems are just too weak to support these tiny birds. The jacanas hunt in the shallow water instead, picking and scraping for food. Their long toes, so perfect for walking on water, are cumbersome in the mud. Our chicks forage along with the rest. Their combs are still small, and their brown feathers keep them disguised. Many chicks are still with their fathers when the dry season arrives. It's the first time they've experienced a lack of food. Dad does his best to guide them through the drought. All aquatic birds are challenged by the long dry season. Normally placid, plumed whistling ducks fight for food and territory. The drought forces the wing of every bird. Purple swamp hens are social beings, except during extreme times. A lotus seed pod is the winner's poor trophy. Birds aren't the only creatures to take risks during the drought. Thirst draws a shy wallaby to the water's edge. predators are more likely to attack in open spaces. But the wallaby is driven to nourish her baby. She's slower and heavier because she's carrying a joey. Venturing out of the forest shows her desperation. But the comb-crested jacanas have huge obstacles to survival. They, too, compete for scarce resources, and they're tiny. Everywhere there's water, there's fighting. Distracted birds are prime targets for hungry monsters. Estuarine crocodiles gather at Kakadoo's few remaining water spots because they know prey will eventually show up. Every creature needs to drink. And crocodiles are patient. They'll take whatever bird they can catch. The Jacanas and the others have no choice but to tough it out and wait until the rains begin again. By the end of the drought, the mud is deeply cracked. An eerie quiet prevails, and most birds have vanished. In the forest, an estuarine crocodile is suffering too. This reptile hasn't been in the water for a very long time. It's too weak to move. Few creatures can withstand Kakadoo's scorching worst. Conditions at the ever-shrinking puddles in the park hit maximum capacity. Birds try to remain motionless to conserve energy because food is nowhere to be found. The comb-crested jacana chicks can only wait for the rain. By late October, a mist begins to form over the parched wetlands. The air grows thick and humid again. Some of Kakadoo's trees use the last of their stored water to bear fruit right before the wet season begins. It's nature's way of attracting creatures that will plunder and spread their seeds. As the aquatic plants begin to thrive again, the birds prepare for the coming wet season. Surviving comb-crested jacanas get right down to business. Both males and females are claiming territories and starting over. Mating pairs are everywhere. Once they succeed, females will search for more partners, as jacanas always do. Last year's chicks are nearly 1 year old, and some still don't want to leave their doting dads. But it's time. Time for tough love. With breeding season right around the corner, male jacanas have love on their minds. It seems harsh, but it's inevitable for independence. It's the youngsters' next step towards finding territories and raising chicks of their own. Soon, Kakadu will once again be mostly water, and all of its birds will stake out new homes and forge new beginnings. The dry season will be forgotten as the landscape transforms into an avian paradise. The comb-crested jacanas once again walk upon the water, splaying their strange feet like tiny hydroplanes as they search for food. But in this extreme world, where the landscape dramatically changes, the jacanas need all of their skills and good luck to survive. Tiny but mighty, there's every reason to believe that Kakadoo's comb-crested jacanas will always find their way.